we've been pretty tough on Donald Trump so far on this show, but a couple points I want to make. Well, three. One is I don't regret any of it. Two is it is worth pointing out that in tone he may differ from the other leading Republicans, but there's an ugly undercurrent in what most of the rest of them say too when it comes to immigrants and so on. It's just buried in their policy ideas rather than overt as it is with Mr. Trump. And the third is on the principle that even a stop clock is right twice a day. Donald Trump made an interesting point, even if he made it in his usual artless and weird way. Okay, he said Monday in a speech at Liberty University in Virginia that he would, quote unquote, get Apple to, he didn't say how he would get Apple to, but he would get Apple to, and I quote, build its, quote, damn computers and things. The man's a technical expert. Damn computers and things in this country instead of in other countries, end quote. Now, he didn't say how, as I said, he didn't say how he'd get Apple to build its computers and things in this country, but it's a good idea. I mean, it would be good if they built their products in this country. After all, Steve Jobs' own stepfather, who raised him, was a machinist in the Silicon Valley, a job that doesn't exist anymore, and that allowed him to go to read college and skip classes and daydream and go to other classes instead and basically come up with all his product. So it would be nice if that way of life still existed in the United States, but we do have policy tools for that. Donald Trump doesn't know it. We do have policy tools for encouraging manufacturing to take place in the United States, and it is not going to be a punishment for the American people. It is going to be a boon for the American people as the economy grows for everyone and everyone's better off. But it raises the question, and another useful thing to talk about, it raises the question, how much more would an iPhone cost if it were made in the United States? So, okay, and it gets to be a complicated question because there's a whole supply chain behind it. So, it's hard to break out what the cost of altering the supply chain would be. And bear in mind, we're talking about the difference between good jobs in the United States or slave labor in China. And it's not anti-China to say those are not humane jobs, building iPhones and so on. It retails for the United States, the iPhone, for $749. Now, it's estimated to cost Apple $236 to make. So number one, wow. What a profit margin. Let's say they wanted to keep that profit margin, which is very, very, very high. The estimate that was made was that if it were to bring the parts in and assemble them here, again, staying out of the supply chain question for a while, the iPhone might cost as much as $50 more. That's $50 out of $749. That's $59 out of a markup of more than $500. So the question becomes, is that a reasonable thing to ask? I think it is, particularly given the lateral benefits that everyone else in the country would receive. And I would add this. The economist Maria Mazzucato, in her book, The Entrepreneurial State, points out how many of the key parts of the iPhone were in fact created at taxpayer expense by the United States government. We don't have time to go through all of them here, but the multi-touch screen, for example, was built by, among other agencies, the National Science Foundation, the Department of Defense, and the CIA. Navstar for GPS, the Department of Defense, and the Navy. The Internet, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, cellular technology, the U.S. military, HTTP protocols, CERN, which is a government initiative, the lithium-ion battery is the Department of Energy, signal compression, the Army Research Office. We could go on and on and on, but the fact is Apple is making an enormous markup on inventions created by the American people. Maybe it shouldn't even increase by $50. Maybe there should be some kind of usage fee for the stuff we created, and maybe they should take a little less in profit, particularly because they are declaring themselves an Irish company for tax purposes. But then that's the luck of the Irish for you. I am Richard RJ Eskow, and this is The Zero Hour.